What's up YouTube? This is Usual Christian back with the Usual Christian video. Today I will discuss about one of the major, the number one priority agenda of the feminist movement. That is, of course, the issue with the abortion. Before I begin, I would like to apologize and let you know in advance that I have no intention to hurt those who are already in grief on behalf of abortion. I am simply bringing up this matter so that we can all take a step back and view such issue objectively. However, as my mother always said, that it's impossible for humans to stay neutral because we're all perceiving beings. So there is a side that I will partake. So here we go. The primary feminist agenda seems to be abortion. The agenda has two other names: pro-choice and reproductive rights, which honestly only seems like euphemism to me in attempt to lessen the aggressive connotation. So basically they are claiming that it's their choice. It's their right to dictate whether they should keep their baby or rid of the baby. I won't go over the history and legal details because several people told me that it was rather boring to listen to the entire history. And I am not gonna define abortion either because by this point, if you don't know what it means, you're pretty much ignorant. So basically the issue is the legality of abortion, whether it should be legalized or not. As of 2017, 42% of women of reproductive age live in the 125 countries where abortion is highly restricted, prohibited altogether, or allowed only to save a woman's life or protect her health. In contrast, broadly liberal laws are found in nearly all countries in Europe and Northern America, as well as in several countries in Asia. And whether you agree or not, it's clearly a fact that a Western culture has been, and still is, impacted in the global society. There's nothing racist about this statement because it is what it is. Alright, moving on. So it seems that the world is drifting towards a direction that favors feminist agenda to legalize abortion. The current judicial interpretation of the US Constitution regarding abortion in the United States, following the Supreme Court of the United States in 1973 landmark decision in Roe versus Wade, and the subsequent companion decisions, is that abortion is legal. It may be restricted by the states by varying degrees. Abortion in Canada is legal at all stages of pregnancy and is governed by the Canada Health Act. As mentioned earlier whilst explaining about pro-choice and the reproductive rights, the feminists claim they should be able to choose to keep the baby or not because it's their body. Yes, that's entirely true. But here's a problem. The fetus inside woman's body is not her body. It is its body, not hers. It is a scientific fact that a fetus is a human life. If people want to know the status of the baby inside, they ask, how is the baby? Nobody asks a pregnant woman, how is your body? In Korean society, for example, when a baby is born, the baby is immediately 1 year old. Why? Yeah, I know it's strange, but they count the time as soon as its conception. That is the value of the being inside the womb. Inside the womb is a person. The people who claim that the fetus does not have any rights are denying the fact that fetus is human. Even if it's not human, it has intrinsic value as a human being. Even dogs have rights and they are protected by law, like in the US or Canada. In other words, a living being does not have to be a person to have an intrinsic moral value. Is human fetus lesser than a dog? On a side note here, in Canada, fetus is actually lesser than a dog. Canadian federal law does not indicate an unborn child as a human being. What the hell's wrong with you, Canada? I have been argued against by the feminists or close relatives who stand neutral on this matter. The argument most likely go along the lines of, what if the woman is raped? Or what if the baby has high chance of being born with disabilities? Or what if the mother is unable to financially support? On what moral grounds does a mother or father alone decide the worth of fetus? We don't do that with a newborn child, but why fetus? Any human being, whether disabled or not, has an inalienable right to live. There was a person who tried to wipe out the population of disabled people. His name is Adolf Hitler. Now, in case of rape or incest, I personally think that rapists should be castrated and incarcerated for life. Hopefully, they meet Jesus there. And yes, I am a Christian, but my human nature deeply wants vengeance, and I sometimes want them dead. It's a thought that I fight inwardly. But let's check out the statistics of abortion due to rape or incest. It is commonly assumed that rape victims who become pregnant would naturally want abortions. But in the only major study of pregnant rape victims ever done, 75% to 85% of the rape victims chose against abortion. Reference is cited in the description below. So basically, people who never even experienced rape are simply arguing with an assumption. Furthermore, stats show that abortion performed due to rape or incest only take up to 1% of abortion operated. According to WHO, every year in the world, there are an estimated 40 to 50 million abortions. This corresponds to approximately 125,000 abortions per day. That is a genocide, noting that 6 million Jews were killed during the Holocaust. If abortion should be legalized because of rape or incest, it's also claiming that there are estimated 40 to 50 million rape or incest yearly, which is obviously not true. And only 1% of it is due to rape or incest. In reality, major causes for abortion is not due to some tragic incident that the feminists want to believe. In 2015, unmarried women accounted for 86% of all abortions. Women in their 20s accounted for the majority of abortions in 2015 and had the highest abortion rates. Do you know what this stats tells us? Not all, but in the major cases, innocent babies are killed by people who want to escape from consequences brought forth by their irresponsibilities. I am pretty sure you're aware by this point that I am against abortion and I'm a supporter of pro-life as a human and as a Christian. The argument of abortion supporters is most of the time about minor cases that happen in small numbers. A law should not be passed to favor the small population, but it should be passed to better the entire society as a whole. And about the women who cannot financially support or young women who made a mistake, you can't kill a baby just because you feel that the baby is going to be an obstacle for your future. There are several organizations who are willing to financially support mothers in need. And as human beings, we take responsibilities for the mistakes. That's part of life and adulting. Some might try to inject guilt by saying, do you not care about the women who need abortion? I do. Jesus speaks in parable in Matthew chapter 18 verse 12. If a man owns 100 sheep and one of them wanders away, will he not leave the 99 on the hills and go to look for the one that wandered off? I totally agree with Jesus and I try to live up to his command. However, Jesus never says to abandon the 99 sheep. Yes, it is a commission for the church to comfort those in need, but it is also a duty for the church to save lives and stand against injustice. Message to all: do not look at this problem with just emotion and narrow sight. You cannot approach legislation with an anecdote. You must step back and look at it objectively. Thank you for watching.